If we take a moment of silence, please. All rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act, a public notice of this meeting has been sent to board members, all district schools, the Herald News, the Suburban Trends, the Record, the Messenger, West Milford Town Hall, the County Superintendent's Office, the Board Attorney, Cable Vision of Warwick, and West Milford TV 77, and posted in the administration building. Copies of the board meeting calendar resolution were provided to all local media, Town Hall, Township Library, and all district schools. Roll call, Mrs. Francisco. Mrs. Romeo. Here. Mrs. Stevenson. Here. Mr. Conklin.
Here.
Mrs. Dwyer. Here. Mr. Guarino. Mrs. O'Brien. Mrs. Lockwood. Here. Mr. Stillman.
Here.
Mrs. Van Dyke. Here. Dr. Animon.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our October meeting. I'm going to start off with our student report. Ms. Meza, do you have your report?
You have the red on, white on? Okay.
Selena, you have it.
Good evening. Our annual spectacular is next Saturday on the 29th. We still have spaces if anyone would like to set up a trunk, and we're taking donations of candy. We're looking forward to a great day. We are participating in the Island of Flags and taking donations to the flags around the high school in honor of veterans. This week we've been recognizing violence awareness with the Spirit Week. Next Tuesday, grades 10 and 11 will be taking the PSATs. Career Day is on November 8th. The High School Drama Club musical fundraiser, Angry Jurors, is on November 4th and 5th. The field hockey team will be competing in the state county finals. For the first time ever, the girls volleyball team made it to county semifinals. The gymnastics team will be second place in the county championships. October 13th was Hall of Fame induction for the second class of West Milford High School. The marching band got first place at the Lenape Valley Marching Invitation, as well as Best Music and Best Vision, and placed second at Ludwig User Classic held at the Giants Stadium.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, we have our HIV self-assessment scores for last school year, 2021-22. So we are going to submit this tomorrow to the department. The scores for each school, perfect score is 78, keep in mind. I don't know why we have 78 as the highest score, but that's the maximum points you can receive. It's not out of 100, it's out of 78. For actual school, 75. Maple Road, 78. Marshall Hill, 76. Paradise Knoll, 77. Upper Greenwood Lake, 76. Westbrook, 75. Mackin, 74, and West Milford High School, 76. So we will upload these tomorrow, and the state will review our scores and send us their final scores later this school year. Next up, we have Dr. Haber. He was contracted out maybe 2 meetings ago for a redistricting study presentation. He is here tonight to present.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because if you don't mind, I'd rather, for many reasons, I don't want my back to the audience. Joking. Oh, I got it. So, do I have that control? Yes.
We just have to set the projector.
Oh. while he's getting it, so just, I want to let you know what you're going to be looking at, okay? The process, the way I do the process is I geocode all the students to a map. What geocoding simply is taking students and placing them at their residential addresses. So I can see where they are in relation to the school building, to each of the school buildings, in relation to the attendance zones. That way, as I'm making adjustments and I make changes, I can do the counts and see what the numbers actually look like. So I'm working with live data, not here, this is a PowerPoint, but I'm working with live data when I'm doing this, and I'm constantly counting, recounting, and then I take a look at how that stacks up against the class size that you want, how it stacks up against the room availability in each school building. So that's a very quick overview of the process. I've got the addresses are done by address points, and simply means that the state of New Jersey, something called New Jersey Geographic Information Network, part of the state government, they provide precision locations of addresses. So along the streets, I actually have the address numbers, the address points, relative to where they are on the street network in the community. The other thing you're going to be looking at tonight is the data I'm working with is current data, okay? It's data as, whenever I got the last file downloaded, which was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And the reason for that is I want to get precise count. I don't want to guess. Now, just to say why I'm comfortable that whatever I do with these numbers is okay, I just want to refresh your memories from my demographic study that I did a few months ago. Just to give you an idea, in 2017-18, there were 3,363 students overall in West Milford. West Milford School District. At the opening of schools this year was 3,017. So that was like a 350 student drop in a 5-year period. The out projection is 2,796 by the 2027-28 school year. So the decline, for all the reasons that I've delineated in my earlier report, is going to continue. And anything that I'm doing with current enrollment will exist over the next few years. In other words, it's not going to be a sudden surge going this way, so why are we doing what we're doing now? It's not. And again, for all the reasons we discussed, Highlands Act, economy, whatever it is. So I think that I have a high level of confidence. Now, after this meeting, or whenever the board decides, if they decide to make a change, then what we'll do is I'll do another file upload, upgrade the students 1 year, so that take the 5th graders out, and so that anybody who's going to be changed will get notification as early as possible. And finally, I know those little maps that you have are not really satisfying, but what I'll do is I will, again, once the board gives me direction, or tells us or makes a decision, I'll make large scale maps. I'll take 24 by 36 inch maps that district wide in each individual district, and provide the board as many as they want, so you can distribute them out in each of the school buildings at the very least. Okay? So that's kind of the overview. Now let's take a look at what I've actually done. It seems like you're everything. Which one am I pressing? That doesn't turn it over. Okay. All right. So again, what we're looking at here is just again the criteria of what I did. So this is what this is. This is a view of the maps of the redistricted student file. Again, do I have a point one?
Yes. Give me the top one in the middle.
Sorry.
Center button. Center button.
Okay, so this is the proposed Marshall Hill boundary. This is the proposed UGL boundary. This is the proposed Paradise Knoll. This is Apsula, and this is Maple Road. So, as I said, the enrollment's based upon this year, with the declining enrollment, this will hold up. This will be sustainable. In this data set, as I explained, this year's students, the attendance zones by the way, one of the things also is that prior to doing this, Barbara and the transportation director and I sat down, so we wanted to make sure we weren't creating boundaries that were not transportable. So that, again, we went through that process. And as I said, there's enough, in every one of these configurations, every school has enough room for art, music, resource, makerspace, whatever programs the district wants to add. One of the benefits of declining enrollment, okay, is the fact that you can expand programs which you have room. And so we'll take a little look at that. So, first one, and of course the one that's the most painful, is the closing of this particular book, or the recommendation that this, and I understand that. As a former educator, retired school principal and teacher, and parent and grandparent, I know the feeling. It's no joy in doing that. However, there are circumstances sometimes you force your hands that keep making no choice. So, what I've done in doing this is that I tried to show you this red line is the currently existing Westbrook attendance zone. And so what we're looking at here is this portion, this bluish purplish portion here. That would be the zone that we moved from Westbrook into Marshall Hill. So students living in this area who attended or will attend Westbrook would be going to Marshall Hill. This green area over here, with the red outline is, those are the students that will be going to Maple Road. So that's the boundary. And this very small area here would be moving students, and there are just very few in that, if any, I'm not sure, but I think transportation said that just it would be easier for transportation to move this section from Westbrook into Paradise Knoll. So that's the change area, okay, for that particular school. Now the next few slides we're going to look at impact. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, so now we're taking a look at the individual attendance zones and what they mean. I'm going to have to get a little closer. So this red line is the current Maple Road attendance zone. And what this is showing is that this section would move from Maple Road into Marshall Hill. This section would move from Maple Road into Actual. And what these numbers here are showing are what the result would be of these changes. So we're looking at 19, 21, 21, 22, 19, and 17 as the class sizes that come out of this number. Okay, there are a total of 28 classrooms in Maple Road, full-size classrooms. In this scenario, for Gen A, we need 13, which results in 15 open classrooms in that building. I say open, say they're not used, I'm saying they're open to the programs. And I think that the majority of your pre-K kids in the district go to Maple Road, so there's more than adequate space there. Certainly for self-contained special ed, certainly for art, music, makerspace, resource, a variety of programs that can be placed in that. The point being is there is a lot of room. I also think that this kind of speaks to the effect of declining enrollment over the years, how it's opened up space in the school district. Next one. This one is the actual proposed attendance zone. Again, the red line is the current zone. So we're looking at this section going into Paradise Knoll, and that would be about. I think that's about the only change there. There's a little. That's actually.
And I think that those students currently attend Paradise Knoll anyway because of the location off of Lake Road, but that's about the only one that will get solidified.
So anyway, in this scenario, again, class sizes, 22, 17, 19, 18, 20, 20, 20. Total rooms needed for Gen Ed is 12. Available rooms is 25, and there's 13 spaces in the building. Again, and I know we had a discussion. There was one section of kindergarten. It's not accurate because it's based on this year's number, where I think the number is 23 to 24. But you've got space to reduce that. You need another classroom if you wanted to reduce class size. Next one. This is Upper Greenwood Lake, and this is the current Upper Greenwood Lake zone. This area here would move from Marshall Hill. So students in this area currently attend Marshall Hill. They would be going into UGL. And again, the numbers are class size 16, 17, 23, 18. That's 27. That should really be low. That should be 3 classrooms. So we'll be using a total of 15 classrooms, not 14. There are 22 available in the building, complete that of 7 in UGL.
Dr. Heber, is it possible for you to use the microphone? Our viewers at home cannot hear you.
Say again, please, Mike.
Our viewers at home cannot hear you, so if you could use a microphone, that would be really helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, is this okay? Got it? Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm sorry, I thought my voice would carry a bit better. Older it gets weaker, I'm sorry. Anyway, and I'm tripping over things. Okay. So anyway, just to repeat, so in UGL, I have one class that I think lowered. There should really be 3 classes. There really should be 3 classrooms in the 4th grade, which would be 13 needed out of 22, which would be 7 rooms open in UGL. Again, that's a lot of additional space. Again, art, music, all of those kind of extra programs. This is Marshall Hill proposed attendance zone. Let's take a look. Again, the red line. This area would be going to Upper Greenwood Lake. This area in here becomes yeah, that's the move here. And this area here comes in. This area would be added from Maple Road. This area, this blue area here, this was the boundary. This area down here would come in from Maple Road. So it's picking up students from UGL, and it's picking up students from Maple Road. That's Marshall Hill. And the numbers are 15, class size I'm talking about, 15, 19, 17, 18, 18, and 22, which will be using a total of 16 classrooms out of 26, leaving 10 available spaces, again, for the programs we talked about. And finally, Paradise Knoll, only a very, very small change would be this area moving to Apsher. From Apsher, sorry, from Apsher. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, this should say from Apsher. Please make an adjustment. Not to, it should say from Apsher. My fault, and I couldn't change that on the PowerPoint tonight. I will when I get back to the office. And again, with 14, 17, 19, 24, 20, and an average size of 14, we need 12 classrooms. There are 19 in the building. That leaves 7 open. So again, and I think that covers it. So those are the projections. Those are the attendance zones. Again, at the very least, the numbers will work. It creates a lot of space in the school district. It allows for expansion. It will allow expansion of programs, and not to understate, would allow considerable savings to the school district in a time when our budgets being state aid is being cut and all that kind of thing. So certainly, board members, I'm open to questions.
I have a question.
Well,
I know there's a push for mandated free
oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I know there's a push for mandated pre-K. If that does happen, does this study allow for the pre-K?
The amount of open space. Okay, if you add up the number of net classrooms that are open, it would allow for probably more pre-K kids than you could ever populate in this district. So the answer is yes.
Now I have another question.
Sure.
Terry, can you use the microphone?
Oh, sure.
People from home can't hear.
If Maple Road has so much extra space, why are we moving those kids out of there? I'm just curious.
Well, it's a balancing act. It's a balancing act for all the schools. Okay, it's one change, because one change generates another. One of the things we want to be uniform with is average class sizes. We want to keep them as uniform throughout the district as possible. We want to create as much additional space in each building as possible. We want to make sure that you know, one of the things that it's kind of easy here, okay, in the sense that this program equity, this you have now, but this is even greater, allows for greater program equity. Every child in every elementary school will have access to every program that every other child has. There won't be art required. There won't
I
be-
think it's also important to recognize that those class sizes that you looked at were the gen ed population, and it doesn't reflect the special ed classrooms that we need at that building.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Oh,
Can you explain that a little bit more? So when Dr. Weaver says that we have 13 extra classrooms at Ashua, is that?
It's based on just your gen ed population, because the graph only is showing gen ed.
Yeah.
It doesn't show your special ed classrooms.
Well, then this is completely inaccurate to me, and I can't even, I mean, I need it to include the special education classrooms.
The amount of, they really are included there, okay? There are 13 classrooms, okay? So we took a look at what you have now. There's at least one resource in every building. You don't have more, you only have a couple of self-contained rooms. So there's plenty, when you've got 13 rooms left over, you can't populate those rooms with resource special ed. You don't have that kind of special ed population. Those net rooms are the rooms with, the classrooms you're looking at are gen ed. Okay, you've got, first thing you do is create space for gen ed. That's not bias against special ed, it's just fact you've got to have space for gen ed. And then you take a look at how many rooms are available after that. And all of these rooms are available. I mean, if you've got autism class in one of your school buildings, 6 kids, they're going to take one classroom. So we've got 13 classrooms. That's one. Now you've got 12 other kinds of things. You've got full activities. Okay, you can have as many periods a day as you need a resource when you've got that available. You know, kids who are like kids who just, you know, on a special subject. You've got SGI space. Remember, this also doesn't count small instructional spaces. So you've got, you know, in the mix, I'm showing you here the total number of full-size classrooms. Out of that mix are SGI rooms, are smaller classrooms, smaller instructional spaces. The less you need those smaller instructional spaces, the better off you are. You've got, you know, 12 kids in a 350-foot classroom. You can now put those 12 kids in a larger classroom because you have the additional space. So every special education was absolutely considered when I took a look. If I had a building that only had one room left, that would be a problem. Okay? There's not a single building that has less than 7 rooms left. Okay? Most of them are in double digits. So it's really not an issue. Yes?
I too am concerned the way Ashua is drawn. I feel like I'm always thinking ahead into the future and having some forethought, and we paid you a lot of money, so I want this to, you know, be consistent for the next couple of years. And I think that all of the other schools seem to be drawn, they look neat, and Ashua doesn't. Yeah. How many students are we talking in that apron in Highview? 43? I don't understand why we don't just keep them at neighborhood. That's just Courtney's thought. That concerns me. I think that there's enough room to keep them there. And looking towards the future and how this map is drawn, I think it should be concise so we don't have another, what was that neighborhood up the mountain that you spoke about? Mount Laurel again. I think that is something the board really needs to consider.
It's not just 43. If you look on the map, there might be 43 that live in the neighborhood, but you have Max's Road that goes to that neighborhood, and whatever the school road comes down here, all the way down. So it's more than 43. with those other 2 roads.
But it is the neighborhood?
That's a space over
Yeah. If it were,
I think, okay,
if Ashua stayed the way Ashua stayed and stopped at Echo Lake Road without that apron, that would make more sense to me.
Also looking at
You know, there's also something else. I'm going to try and put this up and see. I've got my data on here, so I can maybe some counts. Okay. So it's not only, I'm doing this because it worked with so many numbers. It's not only what the impact is on school in terms of filling it up, it's on the other school. If I take 43 children out of Maple Road, what does that do with that population?
But you just said there's
No,
extra classrooms.
All I'm saying is that, I'm not defending or not defending, I just balancing down numbers. What I'm saying is that every move has another impact. So in other words, whatever that number is in there, okay, and I put them in Apshore, they're going to come out of Maple Road. So what does that do?
I just think having the least impact, student impact, would be the smartest thing for this district to do. Even these smaller neighborhoods where you have some children who were Apshua who are now going to PK, they're small. Like, I don't understand why we're impacting those little neighborhoods and moving a small amount.
A simple explanation of that, again, is that I don't want to cherry pick. In other words, if I do something where I take 10 here and 5 here, okay, and start cherry picking kids, then we're taking really smaller groups where I want it. What guides me philosophically. Okay. So what part of the philosophical guidance is to keep groups of kids together, not to cherry pick. Yeah, I can do a balancing act and say, well, let's take a couple from this neighborhood, a couple from this neighborhood, and let's be a nice number. But kids will say, well, someone across the street from me, why aren't they moving? So I try to minimize that. So just give me half a second.
Yeah, they go there. Yeah, they're in that.
Very hard to give a number, give a student,
While you're looking, Dr. Haber, I do have more thoughts, if I can share them. I am concerned with the class sizes that are proposed. I think that anything over 20 is too much, so I would like the board to look at that. I also am concerned with PK's numbers.
Is what concern?
I'm concerned with the proposed enrollment at PK. I'll tell you what it is. It's 194 when we're closing Westbrook at 263 students. And so I just think that this board needs to have some forethought in doing this slowly and steadfastly, because we could be looking at closing 2 elementary schools in the very near future. So I think that doing it in a way that I've always said, where my kindergarten shouldn't be starting at a school that is on the chopping block, and doing it slowly and carefully would have been the right way to do this for children. Because if we do this too fast, in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you could all be back here again talking about closing another elementary school.
Just the commercial area, 82 students.
Thank you.
There are 82 students in that area. So if I can't put 82 students back in Apshua and take 82 students out of Maple, I can. It would just make no sense. Maple Road would then have no population. So that's, okay, I don't know if you guys can see it, but that little green area in the middle, that's what we're referring to as that little horseshoe area, but there are 82 K-5 students in that area. And that doesn't count any PKs that we include in that area. So again, it's always a balancing act. If you take from one, you've got to give to another. If you give to one, you've got to give to another. That's one of the tricks of this whole thing. Just to answer your question, just my experience and my background, this is sustainable for many, many years to come. Just because of the population. And the fact is that if you want to lower your class size to 20 or 21, if there's any that are over that, you can. You've got the room to do that, so they don't upset you. It's not like, you can have 3 kids in a closet or something like that. So again, what is that?
Dr. Haber, can you hold up your screen again and show us where the 82 students are? I think there's missing.
It's that, okay, it should be, I think it's gold one. I think it's in gold on yours.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, it's a little green area, 82 K-5 kids, 82 kindergarten, fifth grade kids on current enrollment.
Currently going to Milford Road and in your proposed going down.
Yeah. That would be the change, that would be the changeover. Because remember, we're also beginning to make roll kids up into Marshall Hill. So again, you know, I hate to sound like the cattle market because it's terrible. Okay, we're talking about children, I understand that. But the reality is that, as you said, we want to protect, you're closing one school, you don't want to do more. So you want to take what you can and utilize what you have now. And it means an influx of kindergarten kids. What's your total first grade enrollment? Just, you're off the top of your head. It doesn't-
Probably 210.
Okay, so 210, so if you, about 210, so if you split that in half, okay, so it's 110, I think the way the state estimates it, okay, is you bet 110, you could potentially have 110 P3 and 110 P4. Okay, just take half the amount of the first grade and split it by those two levels. So again, even if you're projecting 200 pre-kindergarten kids, which is, looking at the birth rate, it's highly unlikely, okay, in the community. It's highly unlikely, but it's possible. You still have room to do that because, again, if you take 200 kids divided by 15, how many classrooms is that taking up? So, you know, again, I don't want, I was here, what, 10 years ago? About 10 years ago? 12 years ago? So 12 years ago, I stood in front of the school, and I happily said to you, we don't need to close Paradise Knoll, okay? And I think there was a great deal of relief for that, and I understood that. But I knew that going forward, this was going to hold. Because again, even at that particular point, with the beginning of, with the Highlands Act and those kinds of things, and location of community, I knew, and the aging of the communities. Remember my study, I think the median age in this community is like a mid-50s. So again, not child-sparing age. So all of those things are taken into consideration when I do these kinds of things. And again, I can really safely say that no matter what you do here, it's sustainable. The decision is yours. Love you know, whatever the input from the community is, that's great. And if there's something really flawed here, we can change it. My belief is that we've worked pretty hard on this, myself, Transportation Director, have looked at it over the past few months, considered the demographic study, and also take into account that I don't want to cherry pick children. I don't want to take, like, as I said, 10 years, 5 years, and make little island boundaries. My feeling is that this is what's working best, but that's, you know, that's your decision.
My question is about what I see as an island boundary, so that was a great segue. Same map as Courtney was discussing, Apshua, but on the right side. Although you would assume that some of those neighborhoods should join other lake communities, they do not. So we are splitting a lake community there. So children that go to the same beach with the same beach badges and that type of thing. So I'm curious how many students live in that yellow section on the same map on the right side. So I'm at the Apshua map on the yellow, the right apron, if you call it, on the right side.
Okay, so, that's okay, so, not a lot, it's not live. So the area that you took looking at, so, okay, so would this include mountain, lower mountain, upper mountain? Okay, then that's what that whole kids do. So we're talking about a total of 10 kids. So there are 10 kids in that area.
Where do they currently go?
There's Maple Road, I believe, right?
If they're current, so Maple Road, that would be.
How many?
So now we go 15.
You know what?
Why would we move 10 kids from Maple Road?
It's just 10 kids in that area. You asked me to count them. I've got a witness. So it's 10. So we're talking about that horseshoe, 82 kids. And then these 10 over here. I mean, that's,
If I could just get something, I believe that when we sat down with the transportation supervisor, they reviewed that area, and based on transportation, they felt that we would be facilitated by doing it that way. They basically created that horseshoe.
And we are looking at including some special education programs to PK. It has the projected lowest enrollment out here now. But we have some empty spaces in that building, so we are working on one or more programs to PK. So I think the 194 projection will be higher.
You do have to remember, I think when you're looking at the outer schools, you have to remember UGL and PK are reaching schools, which also then PK, as you're well aware, goes all the way up to Canister. So if you had to pull kids from there and bring them down to Ottawa, that would be quite a bus ride. And winter time, I mean, like, I think they're taking into account some of the transportation times.
I think we have a problem with Canister or Henderson during the winter time. We don't even go up after November.
I mean, like, there's some really, that we have to keep our outer schools because of the way the town is laid out. Huh?
Hope you're right.
You hope I'm right that we have to keep our schools?
No, we're just hoping that there's not another school that has to be closed.
Well, I think the projections that we're getting here, unless West Milford has we don't have a building boom because we can't build here anymore. Unless we see, a major change in the population with a lot of home selling of the people who are of that median age. I think that you're going to, something like this, a demographic survey like this is only going to be as good as, 10 years is probably its life.
yeah.
And, things fluctuate. Who would ever have thought, I would never have thought we'd be sitting here tonight talking about this when I moved here. We had to redistrict and Mount Laurel came down to Marshall Hill because we had such a large population. There were like 4,500 kids at that point in the school. So I never thought we would ever see. People said, "Oh, you're never going to see those numbers like that," but this has happened, and this is where we are. And I do know that, in speaking with other people in other districts, that the birth rate is low. People are having one, maybe two children, and they're not having 3 and 4 kids anymore. So, this is not a perfect science either, as I see it. And I do realize that whoever is impacted, it's a personal issue, and it's not going to be a positive. And we have to do the best we can to service the greater amount of West Milford. It's not a great decision to have to make, but financially, as board members, our responsibility is fiduciary, and we have to cut more. We have to cut another $2 million next year in our budget.
My responsibility is to the children of this town, and I am not okay with moving 10 from the neighborhood where every other child in that neighborhood from their lake community is staying at their elementary school, and 10 of them are going to move. I'm not okay with that.
I don't know that this is a set in stone.
That part of mine is very upsetting to me. All of this is upsetting, right? But I know that I'm going to have to agree to some of it because of the finances. I get it. But to move 10 kids?
And I think that's a valid discussion. I don't think that it is. But what I'm trying to say is that this isn't something that we chose to do. As far as like we just out of the blue said, let's start doing. We have to do whatever we have to do. Unfortunately, because we don't want state We don't want a state takeover of our district at some point because of finances.
I think what Dr. Haber's doing is conceptualizing the changes that we're going, and how to implement the redistricting. Certainly, if you have specific areas that you feel need to be looked at a second time, we could do that with transportation.
I just clearly just don't want to move. Look, any kid having to move school, it's her fault, right? It's another transition. I know that the research says that that's not great, right? But we have to do it. But doing it, I know you did a good job, I think, on this map, really trying to keep most of the neighborhoods together. You know, like if you live in Highview, if you live off Clinton Road in Evergreen Lake or Mount Laurel, like it states you kids are going to have to move to school, but they're all going together. You know, so the only place on the map that I see is that one area, and if there's another one, let me know. I can't figure out the Pine Club part. I can't figure that out. So that I can't read them.
It's very difficult to read the
I
street.
can't read the roads. I can, you
But
know,
I do feel that
keeping neighborhoods together.
Pine Club is going from west to north. All of Pine Club, all of Pine Club.
Yeah, Pine Cliff is down. The only thing, there's only one,
wait, let's not overtalk each other.
there's, I believe, one small section off of Union Valley Road, which will go up to PK, but it's not really the Pine
But
Cliff.
that is Pine Cliff. If we're talking about Stowaway Road, that is part of Pine Cliff. They go to the same camp, they are part of the same community, they walk through a road to get, that's their community. You know, to me, the areas that I just.
I think there can be discussion about it, but I think we also have to realize that it's not a perfect science, and it's not going to be perfect. And there are going to be people who are not going to be helped. This is so much better than when we redistricted last time, and people lived across the street from each other, and one went to one school and another went to another.
Can I just ask a question? Okay, this area that you asked me to calculate, where the 10 kids are, they all go to Absher now.
You already know that?
They already go to Absher.
Okay.
They're not even, they already go to Absher.
The map.
That area.
Yeah.
All of these kids go to, there are 10 children in that area that go to Absher.
Okay.
And that's where they're going to stay.
And that's what I'm saying. They're not being moved. Again, if there are things or concerns,
I just want to try to keep neighborhoods together.
I will say, after looking at it, it is a little difficult to read, to be honest, and I have old eyes, so it's very hard for me to
And it
read.
says Milford Absher, so that's why I.
But I feel, when I look at this and I live through the past, this is keeping as much of neighborhoods intact as possible, where that's not how we did it last time. Last time they took it, they just, as Ray is shaking his head because he lived it too, it just was like you got it and that was it. And I didn't see anybody telling you.
I'm just late doing the streets.
It will be better if we could see like a regular map. Like if we could cut the areas and have the streets in there laid. As we move forward, I think that would be wonderful if we could do that.
As I said, I think that this is a conceptualization of what it would look like, and that, the finite or the micro details can be worked out.
And please understand that we're not downplaying any students that are going to be moved because I think every person around this table is as concerned for where we're going. And that's why we handled the whole restructuring the way we did, so that we could hear every negative and any positives that were out there, so that no one felt like there was no transparency, because there was. You have something, Courtney?
I do. I know I often talk about my child, and it's my school that's going to be affected. But truth be told, my kid will be fine wherever he goes. He'll enroll to school no matter where he goes. However, I do have concerns for the children who suffer from anxiety, the children who maybe are getting separated from their best friend, the moms who maybe aren't part of the PTA they want to be part of anymore, and just the petty little things like that make our community what it is. And And so I think this board needs to also have a very serious discussion about school choice in the very near future and allowing children and allowing the administration to make the decision about school choice. Because quite frankly, the Board of Ed, the people sitting here, don't know these children and how they operate. The principals know them, and then the principals tell our administration. And I think that that decision needs to be left to the administration.
I've been doing this for about 27 years. I've redistricted, worked redistricting well over 100 school districts, about 65 in New Jersey. I've done a lot of, I've looked at the literature because I always, it's always, and you know what the consensus of literature is? It's hard to hear. The anxiety is more with the parents than it's ever with the children. Okay? And that I've never read of a single case, except maybe in the case of a special needs child, that a child is suffered greatly by redistricting. Children are incredibly
small issues.
Okay? And if you, as a parent, treat this in a positive way with the child will take it as positive. And I'm just sharing my experience and literature with that, okay? You got no reason I could come and say literature tends to take kids have nervous breakdowns. It really, really does. Parents, yes. Kids, really. So you just kind of keep that in mind. That and again, because of not trying to cherry pick, some kids will not be in the same school with their little league. I understand that, okay? But for the most part, we keep them together. For the most part, can it be 100% successful? Absolutely not. Because we're dealing with the balancing. As I said, if I took, let's just go back to the example, I take those 82 children out of Abshore and put them in Maple Road, or the opposite, whatever it is, Maple Road becomes empty and Abshore becomes overcrowded. It defeats the purpose of what we're doing. So again, keep in mind what, to me, keep in mind what we're trying to do, what the board is trying to do, what the principals are trying to do. Good class sizes, space programs, allowance for an influx of pre-K, especially when it gets required, when it becomes required, if it becomes required, and having to make up for lost revenues, which, by the way, translates to the lost programs. So, I mean, what's the sacrifice? What are you going to sacrifice? You've got to cut some, okay? So what do you cut? Athletics, transportation. I mean, these are very hard choices that a board has to make. And this is a very hard choice, and I respect that. And it's very hard for a lot of you, but, and again, not set in stone. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of input. I'm going to provide you, I have an idea, okay? Just an idea, okay? I can't do live data here because it's a program, okay, that exists in my office. I can do live data via Zoom, okay? So if you want, and if I did it via Zoom, okay, witness, see street names? Okay, so we've got street names and everything on a map, okay, that we can zoom in and actually see those locations. So I'd be more than happy, to give an evening on Zoom, and that, that's up to you guys if you want. And this way, everybody can really see what the real detail, and I will provide the large-scale maps too. Okay?
Well, we should discuss that. I think maybe how we can work that out. But my opinion is that we need to give as much information as we possibly can at this point, because we don't want anyone to be surprised about where we're going with it. There's some things that are out of our control, but we want people to be aware of where it's going. That's my own opinion.
I totally agree.
And I think that's the best way to handle it for everybody that's here and those that are listening, so that they understand that we're trying to make it as painless for most as possible. So, is there other questions on the presentation tonight? As far as, not the public, that will be during our public comments that people will be able to come up with. But is there any other questions by the board members? Thank you, Mr. Haber. We appreciate you coming, and I have a feeling we're going to see you again.
I certainly hope so.
Yes.
Just friendly.
Would you mind just staying until public comments are over, because there may be questions that need to be asked that we will be able to answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to our Director of Ed report, which is our testing presentation, I would like to make a comment on the hand carry tonight. We'll be accepting later this evening, we'll be accepting the resignation of Dr. McQuaid. I just want to thank her for being a wonderful Director of Special Services. I want to thank her for your compassion. Thank you for your empathy. Thank you for your spirit. Thank you for your tireless work ethic. Thank you for keeping the district open during COVID. Thank you for your vision. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your courage. But most of all, thank you for your friendship. We're going to move into our district testing presentation now. Dr. Matlos and Ms. Johnson.
Your presentation.
We do have another presentation, our annual testing report.
Oh,
Oh, very good. Jail video. Like, I just had a moment where I was waiting for the music, and I really am excited when I just need to share.
Can you hear me? Can we hear me?
There we go.
Thank you so much for that. Appreciate that.
That was for real. My heart felt out of the beat.
Thank you all for staying too. Appreciate it.
We're ready.
All right. So as Rob's getting ready, I don't want to waste obviously a long board agenda tonight and so forth. So again, thank you to Mrs. Johnson as well for being here. She's going to tackle the secondary part of this. So I'm looking at grades 3 to 5 for NJSLA in 2022 for the spring. So the one thing I'm sure you've heard about, especially throughout the media, whatever it may be, is that there's this massive drop, 10 points, across the United States of America. Well, ladies and gentlemen, great news for all of you. And it's not just a UGL conversation. This is Western Township Public Schools. Our drop, if you want to call it that, look at maybe 3 or 4 points total. So versus the entire United States, we blew it right away. So shout out to everyone, seriously, parents, teachers, administrators, you name it. That's where we are. So it's pretty incredible. So I do want you to take that in, and hopefully, eventually, we'll see something. All right, so quick quiz. Last time we took NJSLA, anybody remember? It was 2019. 2019 last time. So yeah, I stood up here with Mr. Novak, and we went over the results back in 2019. 2020, there was no test. 2021, no test, and then we had the Start Strong, of course, conversation with that as well. And also at the same time, I stood up with you to talk about the second bullet point, Start Strong. That was back in the spring of 2022. And I kept saying one phrase over and over, because I know you watched the video at home, obviously. And that, of course, was that the glass was half full, looking at our test scores. And yeah, I wasn't lying to you. We actually did very well as I go through each stat with you, especially grades 3 to 5. All right, so why was I proud of our testing team? Why were we kind of cheering, especially after the Start Strong results? Well, back in the spring, especially late April going into May, we decided a different approach, and that was staggering, actually, our testing time. So instead of, for example, past practice, we're talking way back in the early 2000s, the NJGE would release the testing schedule, and it was let's say it was the week right after spring break, and every single school was like, oh my God, we're going to jump on testing right away. We're going to do ELA, math, science, everything all at once in 1 week. And we looked at it and said, all right, enough is enough, because at this point, it became too much stress for our kids. So instead, we decided for the first time ever in the spring of 2022 to stagger. So what we did, that last week of April, it was ELA. And then that week off. And then the next week was math. and then the week off, and then we finished it with science. What that did, it created a calming presence for testing. Our students were prepared week after week to take on NJSLA, especially grades 3 to 5. Lincoln benchmarks, I'm going to go through that as well with you tonight, because it's very, very, very interesting, especially with benchmarks B and C. So I do want you to please focus on that as we go through the grade levels, all right? All right, so let's do it. With grade 3, actually let's start with just the grade 3 ELA. All right, just one minute. The state average was 740. Again, keep in mind this is on a scale from 650 to 850, right, for NJSLA. All right, West Milford Township Public Schools, our average score was a 746, so again, above the state average. All right, in terms of meeting or exceeding expectations, the state 42.4%. West Milford, once again, 6 points above that at 48.6%. Keep in mind, grade 3, this is the first time they're taking a standardized assessment to the New Jersey Department of Education. Again, a mandated one that spring. For math, we saw, again, a very similar situation. The average score is 745. For West Milford, 753, above the state average. In terms of meeting or exceeding those expectations, the state was 45.4%. West Milford Township, 56.9%. That's a big deal. Again, that is 2 years of not having an NJSLA assessment. And our grade 3 staff, again, this is district-wide, parents, teachers, you name it, to put up a 56.9% for grade 3, that is pretty remarkable. Now let's talk about Lincoln. Grade 3, if you're not familiar with Lincoln, keep in mind that the benchmarking system, we have 3 of them. Benchmark A takes place in September, Benchmark B takes place in January, Benchmark C takes place in June. The point of the benchmarks, they're NJSLA-like questions that a student has that they receive in both ELA and mathematics. Benchmark A for mathematics, 45%. Now, benchmark B in January, in terms of students that were on the bubble, met, or exceeded 54%, NJSLA 56.9%. So what did that tell you? That in January, our students' staff especially had that heads up that this is essentially where they're going to be by the time we get to May. And then, let's just say hypothetically, if NJSLA took place in late June, our students would have scored 59%, even higher than the scores that I posted before, especially for mathematics at 56. So I'm going to say it one more time because it's very important. With the January assessment for benchmark B, you have your heads up. All right, you now, as a teacher, have the ability to look at those scores, right, per child, and say, Johnny or Sally, you're looking at possibly getting that 54 to 56 percentile on NJSLA. So what does that mean as a teacher? I now have the opportunity to look at every single question in Lincoln, look at every single weaker standard. So let's say my kid, I'm doing well in fractions. Well, here's your chance. January all the way until April, May, you can work on those weaker standards. So now with Lincoln in place, and now us understanding it more as the staff, especially a few years in, we have the ability to do that. All right, with that heads up. I'm going to keep showing this to you. Grade 3, ELA. Benchmark A, 40%. Benchmark B, 50%. Bubble met exceeded. NJSLA, 48.6%. Again, under 2 percentage points. Benchmark C, again, 52% higher. So again, more exposure by the time you get to benchmark C. In terms of the NJSLA rules, again, this is just showing how we pair up against the state as a district in terms of the did not meet, partially met, approached, met, and exceeded. Okay, so the goal, obviously for every single child, we want them to meet and exceed. But at the same time, we also want to look at the did not meet, the partially met. How do we help these children, especially with those bigger standards? Lincoln's a part of that as well. The approached standards as well, if you look at that, those are also the students you want to move over into the met column. Grade 3, same thing in terms of the ELA results, New Jersey versus West Milford Township Public Schools. Again, that did not meet, partially met, approached, met expectations, exceeded. Again, same arguments here as well. All right, let's start grade 4. Grade 4 ELA, the state ELA average scores 746. Again, once again, West Milford Township Public Schools, 748. met or exceeded expectations. The state at 49.4, West Milford 49.2. With mathematics, average score is 740, West Milford 746. Met or exceeded 39.4 for the state, West Milford Township 43.9. I know you want to see Lincoln again, so let's do it. Lincoln for math, grade 4. Here we go. 39%, bubble met exceeded, and JSLA April 43.9%. There's your heads up for grade 4. Benchmark C, again, exceeding with more exposure. So what is this telling me, especially for my testing team? When we stagger that schedule again this year, in May, if we actually have our testing later on in May, we should expect to see a higher increase based on the data we have. Grade 4 ELA, again, bubble met exceeded 49% for benchmark A, and then that takes place in September. Benchmark B, bubble met exceeded 50%, and JSLA 49.2%. Benchmark C, 56%. This is going to be the common theme. Grade 4 ELA results again, New Jersey versus West Milford Township Public Schools, and they did not meet, partially met, approached, met expectations, and exceeded. Same thing with math, same thing with math as well. Again, did not meet, partially met, approached, met expectations, exceeded. All right, grade 5. All right, before they go to middle school, grade 5 ELA assessment, the state ELA average 748, West Milford Township Public Schools 753. Met or exceeded expectations, the state 49.6%, West Milford Township Schools 55%. Grade 5. Grade 5 math assessment. Average score for the state 736, for West Milford 741. Met or exceeded expectations, the state 36.1%, West Milford Township Public Schools 37.8%. Did we get a heads up on this? You better believe it. Benchmark B, bubble met exceeded 40%, NJSLA 37.8%. For ELA, 57%, bubble met exceeded, NJSLA 55.1%. Pretty remarkable. If we go a little later, you see the scores inch up. 52% for math, for ELA 53%. Again, just those results in the bar graph form. Did not meet, partially met, approached, met, and exceeded against us versus the state, as well as for ELA, the same thing. And then grade 5 science. Okay, so science, of course, is on a different scale from 100 to 300. West Milford schools did score better than New Jersey at 169 to 163. All of our students, in terms of scoring, a level 3 plus, 25.8. Again, we're pretty much in line with the state at 25.5. There's not a Lincoln benchmark B for this, but you know, one day. All right, again, those performance levels against the state in terms of level 1, level 2, 3, and 4. So again, the goal obviously is to get to 3 and 4 for science. All right. And again, in terms of grades 3 and 5, we actually just finished Start Strong on October 11th to the 14th. That's a different assessment. It's just like a benchmarking tool. The beauty of this is that once a student submits the actual assessment, the teacher has instant access to those results. So there's an on-demand report that every single, your child's teacher has. Once they access that report, they actually have reports to each standard, whether it's a weaker standard or a stronger standard. It is a click of the button through Pearson, where of course they have those reports. COGAT will take place November 14th to the 16th. That'll be of course for grades 2, and any new students for grades 3 and 4. NJSLA, they actually have shortened the window for next year because it will be May 1st to May 26th. Dynamic learning maps, also known as DLM, will take place from April 3rd to May 26th. And then last but not least, access for ELs, which again, English language learners, February 6th to March 3rd, 2023. There's a lot of so thank you all seriously for sticking around for this. And again, my point simply was, the data helps, right? The data helps, so we're looking forward to obviously digging deeper into that and eventually, of course, using that for testing purposes. And again, on behalf of the testing team, we also want to say that one test doesn't define a child. Right? I just want to put that out there, that it doesn't come down to NJSLA. There are various, obviously, learning models for that. All right. I'd like to introduce Mrs. Johnson, who will be up next. Find some music.
Mr. Chairman. Hi, can you hear me? Yeah? All right, so while that presentation is being brought up, my presentation is being brought up, I'll share with you that we tested NJFLA a little bit differently than the elementary schools did. The students on the high school and the middle school like to get to the test and get it done. So we tested NJFLA over 4 mornings in the high school, the late opening, and it was 4 days for the freshman class taking math and ELA, and 2 days for the junior class who took the science test. In Math, all grades 6, 7, and 8 took ELA and math, so that was over 4 mornings at the late opening, and then science was done on 2 additional days, and that was just grade 8. Right? So as we look at the data, I'd love to be able to stand up here and say that the benchmark data aligned with NJF FLA just like it did in the elementary school. But that didn't really happen. And there's a reason for that, because as students get older and they move into grades 6 through 12, they're more focused on their grades. And the benchmark assessments are not based on their grades. So they take those, but they don't take them as seriously as we'd like them to do at this point in time. You will see some correlation. You will see that there's pockets of classes or grade levels where it is connected, and that's a good thing. I also included on my data some Start Strong information from last year, because we also saw pockets of that being connected. At this point in time, Mr. Novak, Ms. West, and I are working together with the teachers to see how we might encourage students to take these a little bit more seriously. We're also using the data already from the current Start Strong to help the teachers see what they can find within the data to support the students in improving their scores. All right, so we've got a bunch of data to go through. I'm going to do it by subject. Math is up first. And the NJSLA in the spring for grade 6 math, you'll see on the bottom that Macapan had 24% of the students achieving in the net or exceeding expectations range, while the state was at 31.3. So we weren't that far behind, we're about 7% off. In grade 7, Macapan earned 20.8% of their students getting the met expectations or exceeded expectations, and the state was a little bit higher with 34%. And in 8th grade, the Macapan students earned 12%, and the state was not far in front of us at 15%. So this is what it looks like in terms of all the performance levels that the students achieved. And what you'll see on this chart, as well as several of the other charts that I'll show you from the middle school and the high school, is that we have a lot of students who sit in that approaching range. And approaching means that they're showing the skills and they're on their way there, but they haven't quite met it. So the data from all of these tests that we can mine out of Blinka is really important, because that'll show us the areas where we're a little bit weak. And the teachers from the previous year can focus on this data and use this information to improve their teaching skills, so that when the students come the following year and take this test, they should be a little bit stronger in the basics that will get them over the hump into that met expectation. So for grade 7, you'll see the same thing. Nearly 50% of our students were sitting in that approaching range, 41.6%. And in grade 8, you will see a shift downward, but that's across the board. Both the state as well as our school had a little bit of a difficult time with the grade 8 test. So our highest category there is the partially met, but that was also the case for the state. And moving on to the grade 8 students in Algebra 1, you can see that those students did really well, with 41% of the class earning scoring in the net for the exceeding expectations range. And for the geometry students in Macapan, 51.6% of those students met or exceeded expectations, where the state was at 44%. So in both of those areas, we exceeded the state's level of performance. But again, when we look at grade 8 math, we have 47.9% of our students sitting in that approaching range. We did really well, but it wouldn't be, I think, all that difficult using the data to bump some of those students up and get us even in a better place with meeting expectations. And geometry, Same thing, although meeting expectations was our highest place for the geometry students in math. Okay, then looking at the Lincoln benchmarks, this is where you're going to see, you're going to see that it's not lined up anymore. What happened to my slide? Okay, that's not going to be easy to read. Everything got shuffled around. I don't know what happened with finish transfer, and I don't think I can do anything with it right now.
We'll fix it before we post it on the website tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll align it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Before we post it on the website.
It went off correctly. I'm not sure what happened there. But I can share with you that the scores jump around for the 7th grade, the 6th grade and the 7th grade students. And there's not that clean alignment that you were seeing in the middle school. Right? That's it. This one comes out better. I don't know what happened to that one slide. This one comes out better. You can see that in benchmark A, which they took in September, the 8th graders had 8%. Then they went up to 21%. And in the spring, at the end of the year, they're the 8th graders, they're looking at graduation, they want to be done, and they earned a whopping 8% of being on that bubble, met expectations, or exceeding expectations. But the one in the middle, that 21%, is a good score, whereas on the NJSLA, they earned a 12% in the meet expectation and exceed expectation range. So it's kind of a mixed bag there, and that's why we need to focus on how we use that data to encourage the students to take these more seriously. Right. Oh, and I wish this came up, because with the Algebra 1 and the geometry, if you could see it, it's interesting. The Algebra 1 students in September had 66% of the kids achieving well, whereas the geometry students had 0% of the students getting anything on that test. By the end of the year, the geometry students are way at the top with, not sure you can see it on there, I think they're in like the 60% range. All right, so hopefully when this transfers over, it will align correctly and you'll be able to see all that. All right, so moving on, grade 9, Algebra 1, 17% of the students achieved met or exceeded expectations, whereas the state level was 34.8. So there's a bit of drop there. But grade 9 geometry is actually showing the same thing. 19% of the students met or exceeded expectations, and in the state it was 44%. Finally, we get to Algebra 2. Grade 9 students in Algebra 2, they blew it out of the water. 72.7% of our students met or exceeded expectations, while the state was at 53.3%. The graphics look just like I said before. If we're looking at that middle column, we're seeing that the majority of our students are approaching expectations. We do have a good enough group meeting expectations, but that needs to increase. For grade 9 geometry, again, the majority of our students are right in the middle. We need to move them over. And in grade 9 Algebra 2, that's where we met the expectations firmly. Okay, the Lincoln benchmark, let's see. No, it's not going to work. I'll just move on. Hopefully you can see this presentation at home. Once it gets loaded up, it should be fine. ELA, English Language Arts, results for 6 through 12. Grade 6. 38% of our students met or exceeded expectations, and in the state that number was 47.5. In grade 7, 46.7% of the students met or exceeded expectations, and we weren't that far behind the state, who was at 52.7. And in grade 8, 48.6% met or exceeded expectations, and the state, it was 42.4%, so we did better than the state with our grade 8 testing. In grade 9 ELA, 38% met or exceeded expectations, and at the state level, it was 47.5%. So this is what the graphics look like. And you know what I'm thinking, right? If you look at this middle, that middle one again is very high. But we also, in grade 6, did quite well at meeting the expectations. In grade 7, our best area in ELA was meeting the expectations, with close to 40% of the students getting there. And when we add in exceeded expectations, we are over 40%. In grade 8, the same thing, our strongest area being meeting the expectations. And when we add in the exceed it, we are over 50% of our students in grade 8 ELA meeting or exceeding. Grade 9, 32.9 approaching and 31.9 meeting. That little area is that area we want to focus on. And the benchmark, I knew what was going to happen. We'll just keep going. All right, and finally science. Science doesn't use the same things, the same levels. They don't have the 5 levels, they have 4, and they label their levels a little differently. But I can tell you that the top 2 levels are proficient and advanced. 17.5% of the students in grade 8 science were proficient or advanced, which compares favorably with the state that only reached 15.6%. In grade 11, our students were at 22.6% and the state was at 29%. This is what it looks like for grade 8, right? Obviously it was a little bit of a tough test, but we did better than the state did, so you should be happy with that. And the same can be said for grade 11. You're going to see a shift downward, however. That downward shift is for the state as well as for the school. All right? So these are upcoming assessments. Start Strong, we completed. We've already begun looking at that data. The great thing about the reports from Start Strong, there's a new report that is results by question report. The teachers can literally go in and see the percentages of students who earn what level on the questions in Start Strong. And when they see something that a lot of students seem to have gotten wrong, they can look at the question. They can examine the question and say, is it a problem with math and their math knowledge, or ELA and their ELA knowledge, or is the problem with the question and the type of question that students might not be prepared to answer? And that will help teachers instructionally to be able to address issues that we're seeing on some of the NJSLA testing. This Start Strong is directly related to NJSLA. Additionally, once that data goes into Linkit, teachers will be able to mine, like I said before, the information from the students they had last year. And that will be really helpful for us to be proactive in solving problems in advance. Right? PSAT goes off next week on October 25th. Information has been going out to parents, and later this week it'll go out again to parents and students. So make sure if you have a sophomore or a junior that they are prepared to take that test. Sale by Literacy happens during this time period. It's a one-day test that we give to our bilingual students, as well as our students who are in level 5 of world language. We offer it to them. It's a good test for students to get a certificate of bilingual skills. Access Realize happens between February and March. NJGPA, which is the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment, that is for juniors. That is happening again this year, and at this point in time, it is going to be a test that counts toward the junior class's graduation. That will happen during the week of March 13th to the 17th. NJSLA happens again for the 4 to 6 days during the month of May. And DLMs happen between April 3rd and May 26th. Right? Thank you for your time. Any questions? Thank you.
Do you have a question, Kate?
I do.
Okay, you have a question?
I do. The NJGPA,
Yes.
we know that it counts for juniors. Is it possible to also test our sophomores so that if they pass it this year, they don't have to take it next year?
And JGPA is only taken by the junior class. You're only allowed to take it when you're a junior. It's kind of like the old HESPA.
Is it the addition?
It was new last year, and on the eve of testing, the legislature put a motion forward to use it as a field test. That didn't happen. It wasn't confirmed until July 1, 2, 3, somewhere in there. So for this year's graduating class, NJGPA did not count, and they don't need an assessment score, but the juniors, current juniors who will graduate next year, NJGPA counts for.
And one other thing that's really, I guess, more a statement really for the board, which is when I do look at public school, a few years ago, we were testing the PSAT, which is it's a big deal. The more testing our kids do, the better they do when it matters. So we were doing PSAT for 9th, 10th, and 11th. And I believe that members of this board complained that we were testing too much And now, we are only now testing for PSAT this year, our 10th and 11th graders. And I feel like that is a very big mistake. And I appreciate our administration. I'm sorry that as board we put you through these things and say, too much testing, too less testing, blah, blah. But I feel like the more that we can expose them to this, the better off they are and the better their scores will be. So looking to next school year, I think it should come up again. And I think that we should have it, the PSATs for 9th, 10th, and 11th grade.
I think that's a discussion for education, so I'd like we can put it on that agenda for education.
Okay.
Any other questions for the testing discussion? Not, thank you both for coming tonight, we appreciate it, and have a good night. Special reports and correspondence. Francisca?
Yes, we have the minutes from the September 27th workshop meeting and regular executive session.
I need a motion to accept the minutes.
I move to accept the minutes for the September 27th workshop regular meeting and the executive session.
I need a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye? Any opposed? Okay. My president's report, I have nothing under my president's report tonight. We'll go into public comment. This portion of the meeting is open to members of the public for the purpose of addressing resolutions on this agenda only. Members of the public who are requested to speak prior to the meeting will be recognized by the chairperson. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes for a period of 30 minutes time, and then time permitting other public comment limited to 5 minutes per speaker will be allowed until the 30-minute time period transpires. All members of the public speaking during this public comment period are asked to address topics listed in the agenda. All speakers are asked to sign the register provided and to give their full name, spell their last name, and group affiliation if appropriate, and provide their address. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that the members of the public be courteous and respectful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged, and the board and the administration will not respond to them. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded to them by the laws of New Jersey. The board is not responsible and is not liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in the light of legal rights of those affected or identified as the problem. Members of the public are reminded they are legally responsible and liable for their comments. Mrs. Francisco, I believe there were people who signed up to speak tonight, please?
Yes, Dr. Gal was the first person that requested to speak.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? Good evening. My name is Dr. Marissa Goff. Last name is spelled G-O-U-G-H. My address is 34 Center Street in West Milford. I'm here again to question the potential repurposing of the Westbrook Elementary School and redistricting all schools throughout the town. As stated in previous Board of Ed meetings by other residents and former board members, do you truly feel this is the most logical and reasonable decision? I know your goal is to lessen the financial burden that we face in our schools due to lower enrollment and decrease in state aid, but how much money are you really saving in the long run? From what you have told the public, your goal is to consolidate the other schools, but you will still have to keep this building staffed, the grounds maintained, and provide utilities. It is also my understanding that the program you want to place in this very building is a mere 26 high school age children. Is the sole reason really because this school doesn't look like an elementary school? Are there other reasons? And I ask that you share them with the public, because a school that can accommodate 500 students should not be repurposed for a small fraction of that.
So many buildings in this town have been repurposed that were planned to be repurposed like they're originally intended to. And I beg that you reconsider before this building faces the same fate. I also asked the superintendent directly that you clear the air. Despite there being a redistricting committee since earlier this year, very few parents know what's going on. This information may be available on the board website, but it is being misconstrued on all social media platforms, and it does not seem like people understand the seriousness that a vote is imminent by the board, since it has been talked about in years past. I ask that you send a secure letter via email to the West Milford community, similar to when you contact us through School Messenger. This needs to be done before there's a vote. As I mentioned in prior meetings, I believe that the 2020 census is no longer accurate with our population demographic. Turns out my research was correct. After consulting with local real estate teams, I was able to obtain property records for home sales, vacant lots, and other residential properties in West Milford Township for the last 36 months. Between March 2017 and 2019, pre-pandemic, there were 1,070 sales via MLS. The next 36 months shows a huge jump to 1,350, and that is not including private sales. That would bring the total much higher. To further disprove what the demographic projections have shown, Vital Statistics shows a statewide increase in the birth rate by 4% for women between the ages of 29 and 45. So as you can see here, this little thing I call is a blip. Those projections that you show decreasing, showing Vital Statistics showing increasing since 2020. Please consider sending out a local survey to the entire town to get a true number of school age or soon-to-be school age children, so you get concrete data, not projections. Will it be like the enrollment in the 1990s? No, but it'll increase. I would hate for you to make this decision during a time of COVID where there is so much unknown, and find that in 4 to 5 years from now, you did not save any money. And now you have overrun our teachers with larger class sizes. Consolidating schools will not improve socialization, as it has been prior to put, but increasing class sizes, it will cause a further deficit in learning for many students, which already exist because of COVID. And that's not because I am a stressed or anxious parent. That is something that I'm already seeing, not in my children, but children that are already on the cusp since COVID. Ask your teachers too, don't just ask me as a parent. This decision will only burden our schools further and affect test scores. My understanding, based off of these presentations I just heard, is this directly affects state aid. So our test scores may be above average right now, but in the years to come, that may not be the case because if you do lose. That sounds like a vicious cycle to me.
Thank you. There's others signed up for them?
Yes, we have Mrs. Atkinson. Let's go forward now. Everyone hear me? My name is Laura.
I was going to say, we just need your name.
Oh, okay. It's the first time here. My name is Lori Atkinson, Atkinson. I'm a resident of West Milford and I live at 44 Chimney Ridge Trail. I want to begin by saying thank you for all you do in letting me speak this evening. It is very nice to see you all in person. I am here in support of Learning Unlimited, LU, to continue this wonderful program and for it hopefully not to be affected as part of the district budget cuts. Learning Unlimited is such an incredible program that we have here in West Milford, which is taught by our awesome Miss Cheshire. She is extremely passionate about her gifted and talented program, and we're so fortunate to have her. Miss Cheshire is a highly qualified educator who has all the credentials and certifications necessary to teach this program. I cannot say enough about Miss Cheshire. If current and past LU students could be here tonight, I know they would be jumping up and down with happiness and cheering for this program. Learning Unlimited is an enrichment program designed to help meet the needs of high-ability learners in the West Milford Public Elementary Schools. Its theme-based curriculum is interdisciplinary with an emphasis on problem-solving, creativity, critical thinking skills, and self-directed learning. This program is designed specifically for academically gifted students who would benefit from a full-day, full-out program.
It is also designed to go above and beyond the varied differential strategies implemented in the general education classrooms. Many schools offer gifted and talented programs for students who show an aptitude for higher learning. LU not only offers a program for academic challenge, but it also helps to boost self-esteem. It also allows students to stay engaged with their academic pursuits. It helps students focus on subjects of interest, which can lead to a higher level of student achievement. Overall, this is setting the stage for their future successes. Ms. Cheshire brings the absolute best to this district, and we should be so honored to have her in such a wonderful LU program. There really are amazing things happening here in West Milford in general and in LU. Like other programs such as Encore, it would be such a shame to lose them. I do hope you consider keeping LU Learning Unlimited around for a long time. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. We have Mr. Minnick. Your name and address, please.
Excuse me?
Name.
Sure. William Minnick, M-I-N-I-C-K, 166 High Crest Drive. And thank you for letting me speak tonight. I'm also here to speak on behalf of my support for the LU program. I understand the research regarding the effectiveness of gifted programs has been mixed. Specifically, a study of over 18,000 elementary school students published an educational evaluation and policy analysis in 2021 reported slight reading and math achievement increases for the average student in gifted programs, while certain groups of students within the same study did not see the gains. I can't predict that my son will score in a higher percentile on reading and math on standardized tests as a result of being in the LU program in West Milford for the past 4 years. I can tell you that I believe the LU program has clearly helped my son regarding critical thinking, public speaking, and being aware of and open to concepts he might not have been otherwise. I will share 2 examples from LU. One of my son's LU projects had a researcher present his dream career to his classmates and teacher. Will, my son, who only talks about gym and recess, when I ask him every day about what he's learning in Aptua, talk excitedly about something academic for the first time. Will wants to be an FBI agent, and he poured more effort into the presentation than anything we'd seen from him before. In fact, he rehearsed the presentation so many times he could speak through it better than I am right now, without using his notes by the day of his presentation. Flash forward to just a few weeks ago at Aptua. Will was asked to speak in front of the entire school at the Pinwheels for Peace event. I am sure that his LU experience contributed to him being given the speaking opportunity in front of his Aptua family. I will keep my next example more brief. When we recently attended the STEM Expo at the school where I teach, my son was drawn to the engineering projects on display. He operated a mechanical arm the students had created and told me he wanted to go to college for engineering. Let me emphasize to you, Will does not come from a family of engineers, or even parents who felt any confidence helping his high school sister with math homework. But architecture and engineering were some of the fields Will explored in LU, and I'm sure that experience contributed to his attraction to those displays at the expo. I think the bottom line is differentiation is important for all kinds of students and learners. My son will graduate from elementary school this year, and his LU experience will come to an end. I am here to ask the DOE not to take away from future West Milford elementary students the opportunity my son has been given by attending LU. Thinking critically, an openness to explore new ideas, and the ability to speak publicly are skills that our children need now more than ever. Please continue to fund LU. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anna Beskin? I'm sorry, Anna Beskin. Did she ask?
She couldn't make it tonight.
Oh, okay, thank you. Is that it? Did anyone else wishing to speak under public comment?
1565 McAfee Road. And I just have some questions, concerns, and I don't have to answer, but I figured I'd ask. Mr. Haber, does the budget allow for the class number and sizes that your studies show?
I didn't do the financials.
Did anyone do the financials on this?
This wouldn't take effect until September of '23. That budget is in the process of being developed.
Okay. So unknown at this point. Mr. Haber, one of the options that Mr. Flutie had said at the last meeting was why not have Westbrook absorb Maple because this is the newest and largest school. So I'd like to know your opinion on that.
It's a tough question because making the choice between two schools. I did it based upon walking the schools, looking what the schools look like, how the school's ready to accomplish, which school can better accommodate an elementary school program. And so, in conjunction with discussing with the administration board, I did look at both, and this one just made more sense. I mean, there's no other way to answer it. It accommodated the population. I was able to geographically get kids closer to the schools. Transportation seemed to work a bit better. So it was based on a number of things. But by the way, the final decision is mine. I just presented the data. I'm not copying out. I just presented the data, and in my opinion, this works best.
But I'm wondering if you know what he said in the last meeting. He said putting all of Maple Road into Westbrook. So combining the two.
Those numbers would go, off the top of my head, those numbers, off the top of my head, took a look at the totals wouldn't work. You would have much larger class sizes. This building couldn't accommodate that population, that total population.
But again,
you would need to disperse, no matter what you did,
yes.
you would need to disperse kids to multiple schools. There's no way to take all of Westbrook and put them in Maple Road, or all of Maple Road and put them in Westbrook. You need the dispersion to other schools. It's always, it's never a single, it's never a singular move. Every move begets another move. So like just before, we looked at that little actual horseshoe. You know, there was an assumption of 40 children there. Well, there were actually 82. So, I mean, taking that horseshoe out, it looks better geographically. It's pretty, it's more contiguous. But you would have no kids to make a road, and you would have actual questions. It seems that's not the purpose of what we're doing.
I'd be interested to know if we did study the actual numbers, if we could absorb Maple Road, so then it's not necessarily breaking students up into different redistricting, but everyone moving together. So just a thought. And then, did your studies at all have any, are you accommodating your recommendation to close this school as an elementary school because of the Highlander Academy? Are you accommodating the Highlander Academy in your decision?
Right? My recommendation, my data is based simply on student locations, building capacities, class instructional space. It has nothing to do with any influence of any other purposes. There's no other agenda other than what situation accommodates the kids best in this district, what keeps the class sizes as good as they can possibly be, and how many rooms are available for all the non-general, all of the other programs such as art, music, band, you name it. So if anything governs what I do, theoretically, exactly, that Absolute shouldn't have an average class size of 28, while Paradise Hill has an average class size of 18. Every primary and first year. So I'm only governed by educational and instructional issues, facility capacity, condition of building, those kinds of things. It had nothing to do with locating any program anywhere.
Okay, I don't know if anybody else would be able to answer this. The Highlander Academy plan really hasn't been addressed. How many children are projected to be bused into West Milford if this school gets repurposed for the Highlander Academy? Current enrollment is 26, I believe. This school can accommodate hundreds. How many would be bused in?
We're going to let Dr. McQuaid explain the Highlander Academy so that people understand.
Sure, I would be happy to.
So the Highlander Academy, just so that the public is aware, is a therapeutic, is that my 5 minutes?
No, Dr. Hager took a lot more of my time.
Highlander Academy is a therapeutic specialized program that services students that are 26 students. And the reason why I'm prefacing with that is because I don't view those students, and I don't believe that the public meant that, but in prior meetings and then today when we talk about students being a mere 26 or a small group of students, these are individuals. These are unique students that have a voice and have very specialized needs. And I only say that because after the last board meeting, and I'm an advocate, I know I'm leaving, but I'm an advocate for special ed students. And the last meeting, it really bothered me when I went back to the academy the next day and the student said, I'm all over Facebook. Are we really, they don't care about us. And that's not true. So I want those students in the public, watching tonight to know we do care about you. Those students, they are 26 students. So when you look at number, they're 26. But are those students have significant needs? Yes. So does their program require classrooms such as therapeutic spaces, classrooms, extra rooms to cool down, those types of things that would support mental health needs? Yes. The other piece of it that then we asked is using a building. So in all of our restructuring meetings, especially those that are for special services, as a whole, collectively, everyone feels we shouldn't, as a community, close a school completely and just try to sell it off. Now that's something, again, the board can decide to do and determine, but in my community meetings, that's not the feel. So in the special services restructuring committees, the conversations have been, what could we utilize a building for? We know we're paying rent to Queen of Peace right now, so there has been talk and the recommendation that we would possibly use this space for Highlander Academy. We would then not continue our lease with Queen of Peace. What else could we use this for? The other thing that was recommended, again, the board and we can all consider it, is possibly moving the child study team here to make room in the other buildings. Future talk in our restructuring meeting was also possibly using this building for transition purposes and expanding our transition programs. We could use this space for professional development. Those are the types of things that have come up in the restructuring committee, not just the 26 students. Could we put our high school academy students with our preschool classes? No, the county wouldn't let you do that. But could you then structure this building to be an annex of the high school and add and expand other programs, even for general education students, as far as an alternative program for other students that don't have IEPs, that might be school refusal, need a later day, home instruction options? That's what this building could be. With that being said, there is another meeting that's on Thursday night, the 20th, with the special services restructuring, where we are going to, now that we have this other information in, get into possibly where programs would be moving. So I don't know if that answered all your questions, but I'd be happy to answer anything else that you
No,
have.
not at all. I asked how many children are looking to be accommodated, how many children are projected to be bused in to become a part of the Highlander Academy.
So it would be the 26 students that we have there, and then it depends on, every year is a little different as to how many tuition students that we have coming in. So the maximum amount of students that we've had from other districts has been 2 or 3 at one time. I believe that as we move closer to the highway, if you will, and Route 23, that number could expand because more sending districts might be willing to send their students here because we're closer to the access of the highway versus being over by Marshall Hill. So it would be the 26.
Is it a goal of the Highlander Academy to expand the program to other communities to be able to come here to go to school?
So it is always, the goal for the district and myself has always been for Highlander Academy to first serve the students of West Milford. That's our priority first. But then beyond that, we review any student that wants to come to our Highlander Academy from another public school. We then review the records and then we determine if that child would be appropriate or not. So it's not going to be the goal to get another 26 students to come in, I can tell you that right now. But potentially in the future for next year, could you get up to maybe 5 or 6? Absolutely. Would that bring revenue in for the district? Yes, it would.
Okay, I kind of exceeded your 5 minutes.
That's fine. One last note, I'd just like to note that at the last meeting, Barbara spoke that this isn't a financial fix-all for the district and that programs would still need to be cut. So unlike what Mr. Haber was saying, that this would give us a great opportunity for more programming, it's fiscally not possible from what I've deduced. So thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak under public comment? Name and address, please.
I am Christy Cleve, 31 Hilltop Road, New Falmouth. I just wanted to take a minute and recognize Dr. McQuaid for everything she's done for this district. As a colleague, as a parent, as a community member, it's been a complete pleasure working with you. I know we have some more months together, but I don't know if we'll have to talk if you're not in the board minutes. So to be able to call your director of special services when you have an idea for growth or you're experiencing an issue is a really unique place to be for me. It's made our program stronger and more fluid. Since we were young little girls, you've had such a West Milford school spirit and passion and pride. It's a large loss for our district to lose you here. The next person will have very big shoes to fill. As you know, I probably could say a lot more, but I'm keeping myself from getting choked up. I'm glad we have a few more months to continue to make change and move forward for our students with special needs.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? We have to come there. Name and address, please.
Yes, Stacy Van Dyke, I live at 65 Property Road in West Milford. I would like to follow up with some of the other things that the other women have said. I'm here as a parent of a kindergartner who's just being to Westbrook.
Can you bring the mic down to your mouth?
Sorry. Sorry. I have a kindergartner here who just came into Westbrook, and I have a son who's 15 who has an IEP and is involved in the special education programs in West Milford. So I want to speak on behalf for my little one who's coming in, who, if you make these changes, she will have to adapt. She's kind of a chill kid, and I'm sure is capable. If I think about my son Dominic, who has had different challenges in the school district, but he has had a lot of support from our family and then other special ed teachers and support in the school, he would have had a lot harder of a time, especially considering like the age of like K through 3 until he was able to obtain the IEP with special services. So I hope that when everyone makes their decision, that they're considering obviously the kids that are in the Highlander Academy because they need support, all the other kids that are in West Milford School District that have special education needs and have IEPs, and then also all the gen ed kids who may or may not, even if it seems like my daughter will be chill and she'll be fine, she may have a hard time making the change too. So I realize that it's a challenge and primarily has a lot to do with finances. We don't want to see our school system not be able to have all the special programs that we do have, but I also hope that there's consideration for the impact that it would have on all of our children's potential success.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gottlieb, I want to figuratively take a step back in this discussion and go to the kind of basis of why we're here tonight. Every district in this state is mandated to produce a thorough and efficient system of public schools. Due to factors beyond the control of any current or former board members, this district suffered a devastating loss of school population. And therefore, it's not surprising for people at the Department of Education, the legislature of this state, to conclude that maybe our district was falling out of an efficient mode of operation. So I think one way of looking why we're here tonight is to, through a restructuring of the district, move us in the direction of more efficiency. Some people get concerned about that. Larger class sizes, are my kids going to be going to a new school, or are they going to be spending more time on the bus? But the bottom line is that you need, at this point, based on my outside observer and an insider, you need to be moving seriously in the direction of more efficiency. So the question is, does the program presented tonight really move you big time in the direction of more efficiency? Now, Ms. Francisco will say that you're going to be saving some serious money here. And in many quarters, saving money is a pretty good indicator, yeah, we're getting more efficient because we're spending less money. But as I say, when I step back here, a couple of months ago when I got volunteered for a committee, I was showing what we used to call the school housing report, which is how many kids are in each class. And I said, you know, it's very interesting. We have a number of relatively small classes, and then we have some like incredibly small classes here, and they seem to be kind of randomly scattered through the district. There's no pattern to it. So tonight, when I came here, I thought, well, as a result of Dr. Haber's work, I'll probably see what you might call a more compacted array of classes with somewhat higher enrollment across the board and not too many of these little outlier classes. That's not really what I'm seeing. And I haven't spent a whole lot of time looking at these things like you're sharing with one of the gracious ladies back there. But you still have some very small classes as a result of this. And I'm probably the only person in this room who would say across the board your class size is still relatively small. Of course, my history goes back when we had 4,500 kids in the district. We were adding rooms at Maple Road. We had them packed to the rafters. But to go back to my simple point here, the question is, are you moving as much as you can in the direction of more efficiency? And I say this as a former board member because to the extent you do move aggressively toward more efficiency, you collectively have a better standing when you're talking to the Department of Education, county superintendent, people you're trying to lobby in the legislature. You can say, look, we suffered this devastating hit, but boy, we're really trying. And look at how much more efficient we are. And that should be the critical thing, because you're probably going to need help from one of those groups of people I just mentioned. And you need to be able to make the best case you can. So, there you go.
Thank you, Mr. Gottlieb. Mrs. Van Dyke? 30 minutes, if you have, yeah, right. So, either, is it?
I'll make a motion to,
Yeah, I was just I just want to make a motion to extend the time.
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone else wishing to speak under public comment? Okay, another motion. I need a motion to close public comment. I need a motion to close public comment.
I move to close public comment at this time.
Second.
All those in favor?
We're changing them at the end. I do want to say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to bring up that Dr. Haber said that he spoke with the board, and that was not any board members. That was directly, correct me if I'm wrong, Mrs. Francisco, it was you and the transportation and.
You meant
Administration. I just wanted to clarify. Thank you so
I
much.
agree, yeah, she did not speak to the board. Hey, I need, yeah, sure, would you like to ask questions? Yeah, right, yes, we have just a few more questions.
Sure. So it was brought up about some statistical data about the increase in births and the home sales over the last few years. I know we're going off the 2020 census, and we know the boom that kind of happened in 2020, 21, with people moving into town and maybe more younger folks. So did you take into account some of that? Did you look at that information?
Well,
Use your mic.
I-
Use your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't want, I kind of disagree with what I heard before, okay? Okay, you can't sell 2,600 homes and lose 600 kids. It just statistically doesn't work, okay? I looked at home sales, I looked at all of those different kinds of things. SHAD, S-H-A-D, is New Jersey Department of Health, their statistical department. I followed their birth tracks for the community. The birth rates have gone down. Birth rate and birth number are two different things. Just really quickly, 1 second of explanation. Projections for kindergarten, okay, are based upon the following. This is state requirement. Children born 5 years contribute to the community, okay, are compared to children who enter kindergarten 5 years later. So, for example, if in 2012, 100 children were born accredited to this community, and if in 2017 there are 70 kindergarten students, okay, that's a 0.7 ratio. You average that over a 6-year period, okay, and that's what generates your projections moving forward. So I go by I go by the New Jersey Department of Health statistics. Again, if you've ever filed a long-range facility plan, you understand that there are constraints to how you project. Now, also being a demographer, I understand that a lot of that is English as follows. So you have to go beyond that. So the way I go beyond that is I look at housing sales, I look at housing construction, and I develop a number of parameters around that. It's just a very simple example. I lived in a neighborhood one time, and a family moved across the street with 5 children. Okay? Does that mean that every house sale that happens has 5 children? It doesn't. It just means that you've got to spread that over the entirety of the community. The housing sales. It's not rocket science exactly. It's also not quite so simple in terms of making projections. There are a lot of factors. So. And there are a lot of statistics to look at. So I've got to narrow those down to the ones that work. The trend line in this district is the median age has gone up significantly over the last 5 years. The population of the schools has gone significantly down over the last 5 years, and the trend over the last 10 years is even further. Highland, what a median age of 55 or greater tells you is people are staying in the community, that people are choosing not to leave the community. So you've got to be really kind of careful when you look at numbers, unless you apply them the way unless you apply them in the appropriate manner. So I stay by my demographics. It's backed up by the trend lines in the school district. It's backed up by the census I looked at. You can look at the 22 numbers. We'll get your projected numbers based over 2020. So to answer your question very briefly, yes, I consider all of those things along with the trends and the direction the population is going. And as I said, I wouldn't recommend something that's not sustainable over a large number of years. This is something, I don't want you coming back in 2 years saying, hey, we're going to do this again. It's just not going to happen. Okay.
Any other questions? Right?
So it was also brought up that I heard very few parents know what's going on. So, that's a communication piece, and I do think that that's an important piece. That maybe you can get that out to the community. Probably some simple stuff.
Yeah, we can get that out. Just one thing that I'd like to do over the next few days before you put anything that I did up online. What you saw was, those were JPEGs. They were snagged JPEGs, okay? I would like to convert them all to PDFs. And the reason I want to convert them to PDFs is you can zoom PDFs. So if you put PDFs online, people want to get a real focus. So it's going to take me a few days to do that. So by the end of the week, beginning next week, I'll send you all of these independent PDFs.
I think that would be very helpful if people could zoom in on it. That would make a big difference. Thank you. I do have one thing that I just wanted to say about the communication board. When we started the restructuring committee, that went out to the community on the school messenger. Everything, there's a lot of things that maybe could be communicated better, but asking for volunteers to come on the committee, multiple things. This has not been done in a vacuum. This has been done over months, and it's been done pretty much how we did the Macapin School. And I know that you could always communicate better, and you're right, there should be other things going out there, and I agree that you should put something out, but I do feel that we have put a lot of information out.
So I agree with what you said. Have minutes gone out from those meetings on school messenger? Like, I don't know. Right? I don't have a student in school.
Well, they're just posted on the website, on the homepage. They're not mailed.
Which website? The current one, the new one that was we were supposed to have? Which one? I don't know which one.
On the homepage, it says district instruction.
The old website or the new website? Right? Because we should have had a new one on August 19th.
Definitely.
So, one last thing. I heard about the Highlander Academy and why this might be a good potential location. You talked about being closer to the highway. That might bring some more students. Actually, was the closest school to the highway. Was that something that we thought about and just decided might not make sense? Could we potentially bring in more students? I don't know.
Well, Absher's definitely close. Definitely comment on it as far as the study part, but just from the special services side, Absher's definitely closer to the highway by 10 minutes. However, you then lose the walking path to the high school and the opportunity to have teachers come back and forth and that fluidity between the two. So that's an elective option. So I feel it's definitely more marketable, the fact that it truly is an annex, but a separate school that still has walking without using busing. That's just, again, the director's position spot, but Dr. Haber may have other thoughts.
I tried to comment on that too. I said that about APSHA, right? And it's the same with PK. It's also on the highway. But when you talk to people that work at the high school, and they say that they need the high school students there for whether it's their counselor meetings, or their non-ambiance accounts, or their college visits, or their class that they have outside of that part doesn't, you know. But, I mean, if we're looking to grow a program, I said that 18 months ago, that Ashland might be the best building for that, being that it is closer to Morris County, and those things do matter. When any other district's looking for a policeman, they drive to that policeman and they count the minutes. How long is their kid going to be on a bus? You know?
Well, I think everything that Dr. McQuaid just said is part of the factors.
Yeah.
The location of this building to the high school is a big deal in some of that too, because we're trying to disrupt, you know, I think what we're trying to do with some of our students that are in Highlander, we're trying to set them up for success. And this building does that to a certain degree. And I'm not.
So, and the other thing which I just thought of right now is we also are trying to utilize shared resources if we can. So you'd then be able to share staff without having so much of the travel time between.
And there's savings in that. There's savings in the transportation. The lunch for the program comes from the high school, right? So there's savings in that. So those are some of the things.
There's many things that are playing. There is no perfect thing, right?
And that, I felt it was important to hear that in public.
You're right.
As to why, right, this, and why it does make a difference for those students. Probably about the 5 or 6 reasons you touched on in 30 seconds.
Any other comments? Okay, we need a motion to adopt the agenda as it is. We have to adopt it with a hand carry. There is a hand carry now.
A motion to adopt the agenda as presented and hand carry number 1 for personnel student affairs.
I need a second. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Education. Mr. Carter.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
I have a question about the agenda as a whole. I didn't see anything on this agenda with LU.
I didn't either. I don't know. What are we talking about?
What?
I haven't heard it. maybe people are worried about
They
it.
were concerned about the restructuring in Dr. Haber's report and whether or not, how it's going to affect programs.
Okay.
I haven't heard.
I'm looking through the agenda going over and over, I don't see
There's nothing on,
anything
there's
with
nothing on
LU.
LU.
There's nothing on LU, but based upon the fact that we were talking about restructuring, we didn't want those individuals to be put at the end of the agenda.
Okay. Thank you.
I feel better now because I was away, so I could miss something.
I thought we were setting a program.
But I'm glad that we're not, and that's, and I'm glad to see them being proactive to come out to support their programs, support a program. Terry, go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to move items 1 through 9 for approval under education.
I need a second.
Second.
There. Okay. Discussion? Anybody have any discussion under education?
I have a question. How many years have we had them in?
I'm sorry?
How many years have we had the Link It program?
This is year 3. The pandemic's done my timeline.
I think that this is the third one.
Oh.
Only because we were looking for some way to measure learning loss, I believe.
I thought it came, yeah, I thought it came the first year of, I think it was a discussion in the later years. Any other discussion under education? Courtney?
Doesn't Dan usually go over the CUSAC report with us?
Don't you usually?
We usually do that when we have the full CUSAC review, which was last spring. So it's every 3 years we do a full CUSAC. The other 2 years, just the state insurance. So this is the SOA year, next year will be SOA year, and the following year will be a full CUSAC.
Got it. So he only goes over the full, not the.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Guarino?
Yes.
Mrs. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Stillman? Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo?
Yes.
Mr. Conklin?
Yes.
Mrs. Van Dyke?
Yes. That's for after executive session. Motion. Personnel, Mr. Guarino?
I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda items 1 through 31 on the workshop regular meeting agenda, and items 31 and 32 on hand carried over. I'm sorry, 32 and 33 on hand carried over.
I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion under personnel? Nothing? Okey-dokey. Oh, okay, okay.
This is hand carry number 1, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We only have one.
So I just would also like to reiterate my sadness for seeing Dr. McQuaid leave and resign from this district. She has put in a lot, has done so many wonderful and great things. I hope that this board works together as a team, not a divided A and B team. I hope that we continue to work together to support our administration that we have left.
Any other discussion?
I'd like to echo my sadness in Liz leaving. I've known Liz since she was in kindergarten, so this is I feel like I'm losing a daughter. I also am very, very sad to see Dr. Scolari leave. Alyssa is a bright, shining star in education, and she was a tremendous asset to this district and a tremendous asset to Ashland. Her parents, her students, her faculty loved her, and that's also a sad day. So I'm sad.
I'm not so sad.
I think we're all sad for it.
I'm sad.
Claire, did you move on?
Well, I'm going to just reiterate what everybody else has said. Dr. McQuaid, you're a big loss for this district. I want to thank you for all that you have done for the special education in this district, from, when you came to right now. Always worked collaboratively with the parents, CPAC, and you'll be greatly missed. And I wish you luck.
We do wish you luck, we wish you luck. You will be missed. Anyone else? That's it? Any other discussion under personnel? Okay, roll call vote.
Mr. Guarino.
Yes.
Mrs. Stevenson.
Yes.
Mrs. Lockwood.
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo.
Yes.
Mr. Conklin.
Yes.
Mrs. Dwyer.
Yes.
Mr. Stillman. Mrs. Van Dyke.
Yes. Operations and Finance, Mr. Stillman.
Make a motion to move 1 through 3.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call?
I'd like to just say really quick that your staff counselor is great to fund this program, number 2, and that is not an easy thing. So I know that Jen Scarce did that and worked really hard, and sometimes hard work goes unnoticed, so I wanted to just notice it.
Thank you.
Mr. Stillman.
Yes.
Mrs. Stevenson.
Yes.
Mrs. Lockwood.
Yes.
Mrs. Dwyer.
Yes.
Mr. Guarino.
Yes.
Mr. Conklin.
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Dyke.
Yes.
Make a motion to move number 4.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Stillman.
Yes.
Mrs. Stevenson.
Yes.
Mrs. Lockwood.
Yes.
Mrs. Dwyer.
Yes.
Mr. Guarino.
Abstain.
Mr. Conklin.
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo.
Abstain.
Mrs. Van Dyke.
Abstain.
Make a motion to move 5 through 6.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Stillman.
Yes.
Mrs. Stevenson.
Yes.
Mr. Guarino.
Yes.
Mrs. Lockwood.
Yes.
Mrs. Dwyer.
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo.
Yes.
Mr. Conklin.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Dyke.
Yes. Policy, Mrs. Stevenson?
I'd like to make a motion to approve number 1.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Stevenson.
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo.
Yes.
Mr. Conklin.
Yes.
Mr. Stillman.
Yes.
Mrs. Lockwood.
Yes.
Mrs. Dwyer.
Yes.
Mr. Guarino.
Yes.
Mrs. Van Dyke.
Yes. Committee reports. Parks and Recreation.
No meeting since the last.
Safety, we have a meeting tomorrow morning. Superintendent Roundtable,
There's a meeting on Thursday.
State County School Boards and New Jersey School Boards, I would say, will be at the workshop. And again, activity next week. Legislative, Mrs. O'Brien's not here tonight. Technology, Mr. Griffin.
It's meeting on Friday.
This Friday?
Monday.
Okay.
Linda, with New Jersey School Boards is next week. This week was administrators in Atlantic City, right? Wasn't it the NJ?
Isn't that part of our, or? It's part of the workshop.
I believe they're all together, all the organizations, New Jersey School Boards, the administrators, and the school business officials collaborate.
Do you know what convention for educators, for administrators was in Atlantic City this past week? I threw up the It was principals, New Jersey, NJ.
Oh, okay, great.
Thank you.
I just read the workshop and it has the
Well,
administrators.
I know of principals that were there this past week and had great seminars, So I would encourage our principals to look to that for next year, because I heard it was really good. Thanks, Liz.
Township Board of Education Joint Committee, we don't have anything scheduled, or do
We
we?
don't have anything scheduled, I'm not quite sure if we want to address the
I think the next discussion should happen at the township level. I think it should be hosted by the mayor and council, and we should be the invited guests. That's how I feel. Is everybody in agreement with that? Sure. And we could reach out to them in a
public meeting, or
I think at this point it should be
public meeting.
right. Municipal Alliance, have you listened?
Oh, I see. So we had a meeting on October 10th. They didn't have a quorum for the meeting, but they did have some new high school students with lots of great ideas, and that's really exciting. It's something that I haven't seen in a few years on this committee, is to have high school representatives. So there was discussion of a letter was read that was written from whoever is teaching our students at Mac in the Don't Buy It program. She sent an email that our students are discussing marijuana in our town, and how they see it when they drive by places. And the email indicated, from my opinion, what I heard from it, and I was on Zoom, that our students are feeling that it's more accessible. But there's no doubting about that. Their police officer over there, very clearly said to the students, if that's true, report that, that type of thing. But our students are talking about our town, and I found that very interesting and very good conversation, because we want to protect our children. The other thing is they're talking about fundraising, ideas for fundraising. They're always open to new members. As I said, there was not a quorum, but a whole lot of liaisons. So people from all different committees and places in town, like myself, who are at the meeting sharing ideas, but not actual members of the WMMA voting members. So they do need that. And that was really it.
Voting members have to be appointed by the mayor and council, correct?
Yeah, that's.
So people have to apply to them and
It's currently being discussed with the committee. Yes, that is something that we looked into, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Special Education Parent Advisory.
So we had a meeting on 10/18. These are the summary provided by Caitlin Babcock. It's pretty long, sorry, it was a very long meeting. We do over 2 hours, right? It was a long meeting. So the meeting started with an open discussion with Dr. McQuaid regarding district restructuring and the impact on special services. Dr. McQuaid shared that the next special services restructuring meeting was scheduled for 10/20. Input gathered from CPAC would be shared at this meeting. Westbrook seems to be the school in discussion to be restructured and used for Highlander Academy. Prior restructuring meetings have found that utilizing the building for an existing special education program would benefit the district. In previous discussions for planning purposes, teachers and students have shared some input and have come up with great ideas, like a cork or chalkboard for messages and a mural where the students can come up with a theme for each year and paint it. Students are taking ownership and the repurposing of a building if that were to come to fruition. Dr. McQuaid clarifies to the parents that yes, the contract with LA Green Peace would end if the Board of Ed approved the plan. Special education programs may be moved, but the IEPs must still be followed. Dr. McQuaid clarified that the department would not lose the programs that we have, but the program may be moved as a whole or apart from one another. There was also a discussion about opening another developmental preschool section, staffing updates, the speech therapy. 2 speech therapists had resigned, one's been hired, and hoping to get another one on the November agenda. Speech makeups will be completed before the school year is over and into the summer if needed. The These are the items that were brought forward through CPAC. There was any update on the supervisor of special services position. The supervisor position is still on the books, but the money has been taken out of the budget. The position was not brought forward again and should be reconsidered based on the needs of the students. The interim supervisor is shared with Science, Math, and Highlander Academy, has been great. She's covering the day-to-day academy needs, but the need for special services remains. There was an update on restraint training. They found a vendor for handle with care, and these trainings were done on 10/10. Plans for future trainings are in the works. Guidance for support for events. So the flyers were a little bit unclear on who's sponsoring those events. The school will send appropriate support to school-sponsored events. Check with the PTO emails to see if the event is PTO sponsored. And then modify the event to make it accessible for the child, talk to your case manager. So if it is PTO sponsored, it's not the district's responsibility to provide a one-to-one if that's needed for that student.
To the really common school that, like we talked about, if it was a homecoming night, you would, there's certain like bigger events.
Yes.
You would do that.
Some of the workshops that they're open to offer this year, suggestions include dyslexia, newly classified IEP information, transition process to DPD and DVR. There was a technical error when the case manager notifications were sent out, so those may be getting resent. Clarification needed from Dr. McQuaid regarding IEP meeting practices. So something that's come up many times, requesting the draft before the meeting. Some districts and directors allow a draft sent out beforehand, but it is rare. This is not in code and at the director's discretion. Concerns are that a draft ahead of time would be considered predetermined. Changes in therapists should be communicated. Parents can request communication in the IEP or consult time. Tours of programs other than recommended. So tours can be scheduled after the IEP placement recommendation by the team at meeting. Parents will be given time to see the programs. Outside therapists may be considered on a case-by-case basis. Emails from employees should be acknowledged within 48 hours. BCBAs train any staff member who needs to implement a bid for the student. Although therapists do not need to implement the bid, they may request assistance from the behaviors to ensure that the sessions are effective. Working on improving transitions from building to building and out of district placement to returning to the district. An IEP tool was reviewed by the CPAC. That the parents shared a program that I guess is in dire need of more people signing up and learning more about it, and that's the Monarch Learn to Skate at Ice Worlds. And then items raised to be included in the notes, IEP acknowledgements by teachers and therapists. IEPs get finalized at this time, so the reminders come out, and if accommodations are not being met after the first week, reach out to your case manager. 504s, reach out to guidance counselors. Thank you.
Old business. Courtney.
I was just wondering, and this, I kind of thought this as we were talking, and I apologize for not asking it earlier. Are we doing our vote as one whole vote, restructuring and closing Westbrook School, or are we doing two separate votes of restructuring? Like how, I'm just not sure how it's gonna play out. I'm just curious.
I think it was at one vote.
Okay, and do we have a date of when the vote will be?
November.
Can we get that out to the community?
See what that.
Okay. Thank you.
Regular meeting in November.
Any other old business? I need a motion to close old business.
I'll make a motion to close all business.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
New business.
See me again. You're gonna miss me when I'm done.
I will.
I know.
I just wanted to give a shout out to Officer Amy. The kids are talking about her nonstop. They love her presence in our schools. The LEAD program is getting a lot of accolades. And I know as a parent, I feel really comforted to know that there's an SRO in our district. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that. And I also wanted to talk about the visitor side bleachers at our football field. Are they on the books to be repaired? They are quite dangerous.
No, we've talked about replacing them, but we haven't pursued that at this point. One thing at a time.
Okay.
I think that when you have larger bleachers the way we do, most people stay on one side, but we are looking at possibly replacing.
Yeah, I am concerned that somebody is going to get hurt. They are
Understandable.
dangerous.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Clean up.
The new ones.
People won't be forgetting up stuff like cans.
Thank you. Any other new business?
I just want to say thank you to Mr. Stillman, and anyone else and everyone else that on this board that allowed me to sit in committee last week. It's nice when we're able to work together as a team, and I really appreciate that.
Any other new business? I need a motion to close new business.
Motion to close new business.
Second. All those in favor? Our second public comment. This portion of the meeting is open to members of the public having a legitimate interest in the actions of the board for the purpose of addressing any subject matter pertinent to and/or directly related to the operations of the West Milford Public School District. Members of the public who have requested to speak prior to the meeting will be recognized by the chair first. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes for a period of 30 minutes, and then time permitting, other public comment limited to 5 minutes per speaker will be allowed until the 30-minute time period transpires. All members are asked to sign the register provided and give their full name, spell their last name, group affiliation if appropriate, and provide their address. Issues raised by the members of the public may or may not be addressed by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that the members of the public be courteous and respectful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged, and the board and the administration will not respond to them. Students and employees have specific legal rights accorded to them by the laws of New Jersey. The board is not responsible and is not liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in the light of the legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments. Members of the public are reminded that they are legally responsible and liable for their comments. Anyone wishing to speak under public comment? If not, I need a motion to close public comment.
I would like to.
Second?
No,
Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Yes, come forward. I'm sorry. It's very hard to hear without Kathy.
Anybody sign right there?
Yeah, if you could just give your name and everything.
Catherine Rice Connors, 37 Highview Drive, West Milford. I have noticed in the past few years we have had quite a few administrators either leave for retirement, but stay here for their entire career and not necessarily wait if they're ready to retire. And we have now lost 2 more administrators as well. My question is that I heard comment is I hope the Board of Ed is doing something to look into why we are no longer retaining our administrators that were so dedicated to the West Milford School Districts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you going to sign right here?
Yes, that would be fine. Anyone else wishing to speak? If not, I need a motion to close public comment. I need a second. Mike? All those in favor? Aye. We need a motion for executive session. Carrie, you want to handle that?
9:32, I make a motion
go into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel appointments, resignations, current litigation matters, special education matters, HIDs, negotiations, and matters of attorney-client privilege. The executive session minutes will not be released until such time as the privilege or confidentiality is no longer applicable, and we will return for action.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. We will, it should be about a half an hour. All right, I'd like to call the meeting back to order. Roll call, please. You want mine? No. You mine. Okay. Okay. I'll give you two.
That's right. You were in
Yes. They're going to win. They were blowing it out. You put more in it.
I was in the meeting.
The Mets lose. They lost, yes. Like that.
The Mets lost?
I was just going to and I don't have my mic on.
Take it out. Look at it out. That is your eye here.
That's lost.
You could be an Islander fan there too.
All I care about is St. Louis, the Great Love and Scotch.
Okay, Mr. Conklin?
Here.
Mrs. Dwyer? Here. Mr. Guarino?
Here.
Mrs. Lockwood? Here. Mrs. O'Brien is absent. Mrs. Romeo?
Here.
Mrs. Stevenson?
Here.
Mr. Stillman?
Here.
Mrs. Linda?
Here. Mary,
I'd like to move the following item. Move to approve the recommendation of the superintendent to approve an HID 2023 E1 as unsubstantiated.
I need a second. All those, roll call, Barbara?
Mr. Conklin?
Here. Yes.
Mrs. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Guarino?
Yes.
Mrs. Lockwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Romeo?
Yes.
Mrs. Stevenson?
Yes.
Mr. Stillman?
Yes.
Mrs. Linda?
Yes. I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Good night, everyone.